What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another rendition of Cold Takes from the Land.
Cold Takes from the Land, where you get the coldest takes from the hottest Cleveland sports fans.
And we are back with a victory like we so confidently predicted, buddy. And I was damn close on my score.
Big Dubskis. Yeah, I know you were. I was thinking that. What was my initial score again? I said 45-3.
Yes, yeah, that was your initial off the cuff, but I think that was closer than I think your actual score. You said I think you said 27.
I think it was going to be low scoring. I think I said 21-17, something like that.
Yeah, you were like, I want to say 28-17, but something like that.
Yeah, I said 21-17, I think I said.
Yeah, I said 35-31 for a minute there. I thought it was going to happen, but either way, big old win against an AFC opponent. The Browns beat the Jaguars 31-27, and they did have Trevor Lawrence, and Lawrence looked relatively healthy, aside from a couple hits he took that he was clearly hurting. It looked like towards the end of the game he was starting to really feel the war of attrition there, but we got the job done, buddy. We got a big win, snapped the losing streak.
Yeah, that's the big thing. That's our longest losing streak we were on over the last 2 weeks was 2 games. So the fact that we came out and got the job done at home to go to 6-1 on the season at home is huge.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say is we are now 6-1 at home, and we snapped the Jaguars' winning streak on the road as they were 5-0 on the road, and they are now 5-1. And score is 31-27, but I like to think it was a little bit more comfortable than the score tells you at first glance. It was a pretty solid game all around for the most part, aside from a few things, and then so the reffing kind of sucked. But I'm sure we'll get into the things we had issues with. But
oh yes, we will. I was not happy about that, and I was going on a tirade on Twitter this afternoon during the game.
So did Myles Garrett in his post-game recap press conference. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did hear that. They had it on 92.3 after the game when I was listening.
Yeah, he wasn't happy either. But before we get into negatives, why don't we do our usual and get into our 3 positives of the game, and I will let you open up this well, I should say, buddy.
Yeah. So I will start with my first positive, which I had is David Njoku.
Yeah.
I tweeted during the first half after he got his second touchdown. I said, David Njoku breakout game. And I'm like, hell yeah, buddy. He had 2 touchdowns, which is the first multi-touchdown game of his career, which was awesome. Got 91 yards on 6 catches. So the 2 touchdowns he had, too, the second one in particular, where he had that crossing route. Stiff-armed dude, got in the end zone, and then the first one, he was just wide open. So Kevin did a really good job of scheming him open today, I thought, and he took advantage of it.
Yeah, he killed it. That was also my first positive, was David Njoku. I feel like we're going to have the same 3 positives today. But yeah, Njoku, he's really coming into his own finally. He's finally coming into his own. It felt like the last 2 years in a row, we were like, all right, this is a year, Njoku's going to look like a top 10 tight end, and then he's kind of just okay, make some plays, but drop some passes, and it's just kind of a normal David Njoku season. He's been killing it this year, and he really killed it today. He 6 catches, 91 yards on 8 targets, 2 touchdowns, and he was the kind of the catapult of the offense in terms of through the air. I'd like to say Flacco was finding him, and he was making a lot of plays happen with the ball in his hands, and he's really turned into a tough runner. I feel like early in his career, he wasn't really like that tough of a runner, and I even remember him having a few fumbles here and there early in his career. But he's been really having tough yards. There's the one play I remember where he got a first down, where he caught the ball and still had 7 yards to go. Yeah, he just not even stiff armed him. He just
he literally ran straight through the dude.
Yeah, he just pushed his head into the dirt or towards the dirt and was like, get the fuck off me. Just threw him to the side and ran through and got
I'm
the
glad to
first
see
down.
him start playing like that, because you can tell part of that's coach too. I think Stefanski's like, boy, put your head down and just run over this dude.
Yeah, I think he's really starting to hone in on his athleticism because I don't know if maybe he didn't like really understand like the ability he has because like for as big as he is, he's very fast, he's very strong, he's just a very good athlete, and I think he's really starting to use that to his advantage.
Yeah, we need it, man. I mean, he could really be the X factor on this offense in a year where Nick Chubb got hurt in the second week. A guy that he's too big for the DBs to keep up with. He can go up and get those jump balls. He's a little too fast for the linebackers to keep up with. So it's a guy that has mismatches. We just got to be able to find him.
Yeah, and like I'm not gonna make no like Travis Kelce comparisons, but like he can really be a guy that can consistently he can just find in the middle of the field as your security blanket, and he can get some tough yards, like almost in the same kind of style as like those top tight ends like the Kelce's and Kittles and Mark Andrews of the world. He can be, I think close to that if he hones in on this potential, and if he plays like this every week, I mean, there's no reason he's not going to keep getting fed the ball and he's not going to keep putting up those numbers,
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I just hope this keeps up next year and we get Deshaun back because that's been one of the few things with Flacco. He really distributes the ball well and he gets everybody involved. So, and this is the best he's looked by far, and it's only been 2 weeks playing with Joe Flacco, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so nice
I'm to the point, buddy. I'm almost ready to where I'm like, Flacco looks like he might have 2-3 years left in the tank, buddy. Like, I was thinking this afternoon, I'm like, if this guy keeps playing this well, like, goddamn.
Well, shit.
I wouldn't be opposed to re-signing him as a backup for a couple seasons.
Well, shit. If we're talking about Joe Flacco, I know I let you go first, but I'll do my second positive first. Then is Joe fucking Flacco. He played like when we signed Joe Flacco, I'm like, okay, if he starts, like I'm not mad about it. Like he'll probably do a decent job and keep the ship afloat. He's already kind of blown past my expectations, if I'm being honest. I mean, 26 for 45.
Well, I think everybody.
Yeah, 26 for 45, which isn't like anything great, but 311 yards. Haven't had a 300-yard passer yet this year. First one's Flacco. 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, and like.
It's a lot of attempts too, man. Between him and I think Lawrence had 50, so these two guys went out and damn near threw 100 passes between the two of them.
Yeah, it was not a run the ball type day for either team. So both QBs were out there throwing, but there's a difference. Trevor Lawrence is a very young man who's only been in the league a few seasons. Joe Flacco, he's 38. He's the oldest quarterback in the league right now since Aaron Rodgers is hurt, and he went out there threw 45 passes and was in it and stuck through till the end. I mean, he made some mistakes. He missed some throws deep down the sideline, but you got to remember this is his second week starting, and like he's only been here total like 3 weeks, with this offense, and he's already still playing pretty well. And obviously there's some mistakes. He had the weird interception that was kind of it looked like it was supposed to be a pick play, and it looked like it worked, but he kind of just anticipated Tillman on a slant, but he just was caught up with the DB and it got picked.
So like I actually rewatched that just like 20 minutes ago before we hopped on, and I don't know how that wasn't called. At first I thought Flacco just made a bad throw, but dude got absolutely blasted and there was no PI call.
Yeah, that was
like
weird.
He literally, you got that right. He was going for a slant and the dude just ran straight into him and clipped him.
Yeah, to me it looked like a pick play for Cooper because he was like kind of wide open in the flat because Tillman and the DB ran into each other, but I don't think that's what Flacco was anticipating. But they kind of just ran into each other, and then that kind of turned out shitty. But either way, 3 touchdowns and 311 yards, and he's out there slinging it. He's taking shots downfield, and I like to see it as long as he's not throwing a bunch of interceptions. And he's really not. I mean, even some of his riskier throws, I mean, he's at least given the receivers chances. Like he even had a couple that just were incomplete that were, could have been big game-changing plays, if they were brought in. But overall, I mean, Flacco's been like a decent bit better than what I thought. And like I said, he is older, and we don't know how he's going to hold up for the rest of the season, but I'm really hoping that he's still got some time left and he can keep playing this way, because if we get this kind of quarterback play, just damn solid, games.
Oh yeah, we got a chance. I mean, even in the playoffs, we have a chance if he keeps playing like this, because for as old as he is, like he really isn't taking too many sacks. Like he can't really run or anything, but he's rolling out of the pocket. Like there was the one play where I thought he was dead to rights, turned around, ran to the left side, and then freaking hummed it to Njoku on the sideline. And he's just not really taking hits. So
yeah,
if he can stay healthy, and I don't know how, because our tackles have been abysmal. But if he can keep doing that, we might be okay.
Yeah, literally. I mean, he made a couple plays happen where he had to scramble a little bit, but as long as he's keeping that to a minimum, and honestly, if the line's healthy and he tends to get the ball out like pretty quick, unless obviously he's taking a downfield shot. As long as we don't run into, like, say we get into the playoffs, unless we run into, like, I don't know, like Kansas City would be a little scary with Chris Jones and those guys, and like.
There's not really anybody in the AFC right now, man. I mean, the two teams, like Dallas, I'm not sure if you're watching this, but they're freaking mollywhopping the Eagles.
Yeah, which is
and
nuts.
The Niners are great, but, like, I think they're right now the two best teams in the league, and they're both in the NFC. The AFC's kind of still up for grabs.
Yeah, it is. And so, but to finish my point, as long as we don't run into a team that has like some freaky defensive line that like will really put Flacco under pressure and then it really show the point that he can't really move, I think we'll be fine. So yeah, I'll end off my point with saying I'm happy with Flacco.
We'll be getting Jed back too, so.
Yes, yeah, hopefully. I think I tweeted that.
His pocket presence. Yeah, his, like, just seeing him, how he maneuvers in the pocket and, like, steps up to avoid pressure, even on the play where he had the touchdown pass to David Bell, kind of slid to the right a little bit and then got just enough time to where he could hum it to the wide open guy. So we haven't had a guy that has had this kind of pocket presence in years.
Yeah, you can tell, like, he's just been doing it a long time, and he's very old school quarterback style, sit in the pocket, deliver a strike downfield. But honestly, with the way this offense is playing right now and the way it's structured and obviously using a lot of play action and whatnot, he can go in there and do that as long as we keep him protected. So barring protection, I think I'm happy with him the rest of the year.
Yeah, me too, man. And I'll use that to get into my second positive. This is probably going to be the same as you as well, but MJ Emerson. Freaking 4 total tackles, 2 interceptions today. We kind of touched on a David Njoku breakout game. I thought this was MJ Emerson's coming out party today.
Yeah, he fucking
was all
killed
over
it.
The field. I think he even, I don't know if he single-handedly did it, but I'm pretty sure he forced the fumble as well because he was right there, ran straight into the dude, basically hit-sticked him and forced the fumble as well. So he was getting turnovers, creating havoc out there all day.
Yeah, you know what was funny is in like the first or second drive, he got cooked by Calvin Ridley on a post and gave up like a 12-yard pass. And I'm like, Jesus, he's going to be on Ridley all game. He's going to get killed. And then after that, he shut me the fuck up because he was breaking up passes, making tackles.
They both did, man. Newsome looked great too.
Yeah, he also had an interception.
They really stepped up with Ward gone because I was worried. He did.
Yeah.
That was a crazy overthrow too. There were 2 pretty bad overthrows by Trevor Lawrence, but.
Yeah, it was really nice to see, Emerson, having that, big breakout game. We got Cam Mitchell back, but we were still missing Denzel Ward, so we really needed those young guys to step up, and, they fucking did, and Emerson led the way among those DBs and was really doing a good job, so can't agree with you more on that one. He was killing it.
I thought Cam Mitchell, too, was a big help where we could take Mike Ford out of the game because there's the one play that I think the very last touchdown that Trevor threw where it was like a corner out, I believe, but it absolutely toasted freaking Mike Ford. So the fact we had Cam Mitchell out there quite a bit today helped a lot too.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to have him on the field. So once Denzel's back, I feel like great about these top 4 corners we have. Me
too.
Yeah,
just got to get Delpit healthy.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. Hopefully Delpit's healthy. Obviously, we're missing McLeod, and I know Thornhill hasn't been anything great, but I mean you still want him in there as opposed to like D'Anthony Bell or Ronnie Hickman, just because they're young guys that have very little experience. So if we can get everyone healthy, I feel pretty good, and that kind of leads into my last positive. It actually wasn't specifically Emerson. I just put the whole defense came to play today. They've had 2 back-to-back rough games, and obviously on the scoreboard it shows they gave up 27 points, but that doesn't really do justice to how this defense played. Grant Delpit was out there making plays. Jeremiah Wusu-Koromoa had another 8 tackles, 2 tackles for loss. Maurice Hurst and Dalvin Tomlinson had a fucking great game today. They responded really big because they were probably the worst part of it among those couple bad games. So it was really nice to see the interior D-line step up. Obo was getting pressure all game. Myles Garrett obviously getting pressure, had 3 QB hits and a tackle for loss, and he did have the sack on the 2-point conversion that of course won't go towards his stats, which is dumb, but either way,
Yeah,
And
I saw that.
Yeah, even Zadarius Smith had a sack and a tackle for loss, so the whole D-line came to play. I thought the linebackers were actually pretty damn good. Anthony Walker actually made a couple plays in pass defense. Like I said,
almost made a pick.
Yeah, he almost had the interception late in the game. JOK was pretty good, and obviously they only really play talkie-talkie on rundowns, so as long as he's not making mistakes, I'm cool with it. So the whole defense came to play, even with everyone getting hurt. We had both of our backup safeties out there, and it didn't fall apart, and you could really see. And I also noticed between Newsome and Emerson, they had 7 pass deflections between the two of them. So they just the whole defense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, the whole defense led by the secondary and the resurgence of the D-line fucking came to play and made Trevor Lawrence's life hard, and they did exactly what I said. The two guys I was the most worried about, Calvin Ridley and Travis Etienne, were both very much non-factors outside of a play or two here and there. Evan Ingram was a problem, but outside of that, pretty damn good day.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, 7 of those points were gift wrap for them, too, because Cooper had the really bad fumble in our own territory. So 7 of those points, they kind of quick striked us before halftime.
Yeah.
But the defense, I mean, the weird thing about the performances, too, we had 4 total sacks, I think you said, and then the 3 picks, obviously. But as far as QB pressure, like, there's still a lot of room to improve, I think. Like, we weren't really, like, pressuring him a ton, even though we came away with a couple sacks, but like there's still room for improvement there, which is the crazy thing, you know?
I mean, yeah, I think you could, maybe play a little better. I don't know if I necessarily agree. 12 QB hits on the day, 8 tackles for loss. I know that's not all.
I'm not saying they played bad by any means. I just don't feel like there's been multiple games this season where it just feels like the QB, like it didn't really feel like we had him rattled at any point. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, as a whole, for sure,
like dispersed out through the game. Like it almost feels like we had 1 sack in each quarter, and then the rest we were kind of there. Like we were still getting close, but he just gets the ball out so quick, and he's got a quick release that it's kind of tough to get him to the ground.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but just that was. But overall, that kind of my point still stands. I just thought the defense was excellent today, and down the stretch, this was probably the toughest offense we had to play for the rest of the year, aside from Houston coming up, but. Rookie quarterback, even though he's killing it, I'd like to think if we can put a rookie QB under pressure, you can make him make some mistakes. So pretty happy moving forward, and great performance today, and let's just hope the rest of the guys on the defense get healthy, and I'll swing it back to you for your last point.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you'd like to think that we'd be able to take care of business. So get out of Cleveland with a win today, which is huge. And my third and final positive I had was Stefanski. I thought he coached a hell of a game once again. Miles in his post-game touched on that as well. He's like, Stefanski's out here coaching his ass off, I think were his exact words. But that 4th and 3 call, I think we were all kind of like, what are we doing at the time it happened? And then freaking Flacco rolls out to the right, hits a wide open David Bell for a touchdown. So he scored his first ever career touchdown, I believe it was.
Yeah, my exact
calls all day. The DTR package too, where he like spun out of the pocket and got an easy 5 yards. Like,
yeah, that was cool.
Just ballsy plays to make, because if those don't work, they're coming for his head today, and I think he knew that. But it's good to have a coach that isn't afraid to make calls like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of
times
in previous Browns administrations, we're afraid. We play way too conservative, and we try to hold on to a lead. He goes out there and tries to win the game.
Yeah, definitely. He was out there being aggressive, dialing up different packages, different run plays, different pass looks on different, whether it's dropping back from under center, play action, rollouts. He's doing all kinds of stuff, scheming guys open, and really getting the offense going. And I just want to, since that was your last point, before we get into any sort of negatives, from now on I'm referring to Kevin Stefanski as Kevin Big Dick Stefanski. I think you said massive schlong.
I was about to say the same thing. Yeah, good old big schlong Stefanski.
Yeah. I hope
he's that guy, man. I've been very happy with him.
Yeah, I hope fans, through the 2 back-to-back losing seasons, a lot of people wanted him fired, and there's still people want him fired for some reason. We're fucking idiots, but either way, I always stuck with him just because I always felt it, deep down that, he's dealing with a lot of just shit that previous coaches have dealt with that only happens in Cleveland, and he just runs right through it no matter what. And he's schemed up a great offense. He's shown that he's clearly a good leader of men, and he's got this locker room together and playing tight and playing for each other. And they're doing a really good job. And I just hope people realize that this is a far, far cry from Pat Shurmur and Mike Pettin and Rob Chudzinski and fucking Hugh Jackson and Freddie Kitchens. Like, I hope people realize it now that, like, just because he's not Mike McDaniel or Bill Belichick or Kyle Shanahan, he's still a damn good coach, and there's no reason he can't be in that conversation. He is a legitimate case to win Coach of the Year for the second time in 4 seasons in Cleveland, which is another wild thing to think about when you just look at it on paper.
And
so
the fact that he had to come in and turn around this 25 years of turmoil is not easy too. So the fact that he's in the middle of doing that, like you said, you have to get through all the negative stigmatisms of being in Cleveland and what we've gone through since we've come back. And what was it, 99?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just the fact that he's doing that and changing the culture. Jim Schwartz has helped a lot with that too, but Stefanski, I mean, what can you say? The guy's done a hell of a job this season for us so far, and throughout his 4 years in Cleveland.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll end off with a little stat here, and this is coming off the top of my head. I didn't look this up, so I could get this slightly wrong. But so we've had 4 starting quarterbacks this year. The last time that happened, I believe, was 2016. In 2016, we had RG3, Josh McCown, Cody Kessler, and I want to say Charlie Whitehurst started a game. He could have just came in and played. Yes. So 4 quarterbacks start. Now, granted, those are 4 very different quarterbacks from this year, but we went 1-15 last year, and that the quarterback was one of the immediate problems you could look at. I'm sorry, that year. And then this year, 4 starting quarterbacks through what is it? This is game 13. So yeah, through. So I think it was. Yeah, game 12, Joe Flacco was the 4th starting quarterback, and every single one of those quarterbacks have won a game. Joe Flacco now has won one. So, and we are also the first team in NFL history, apparently, I believe I heard this on the podcast, or on the broadcast, I should say, to start 4 quarterbacks in a season through, 12 games, now 13, and have a winning record. And I think that just all points directly to Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I mean, with the coaching, too, like, I think it seems like he's finally starting to win over some more people, although there's always going to be the haters. But I don't know why I just thought of this, but it kind of feels like throughout his first couple seasons, he still is very even-keeled coach compared to some guys like Mike McDaniel and especially like Nick Sirianni, some of these guys who are very outspoken. Mm-hmm. But I remember the moment in the Titans game where Deshaun had that big touchdown throw to Cooper where he kind of got fired up on the sideline, started showing some emotion. And then today, too, when Flacco had that pass to David Bell where he was all fired up. So I think that gets a lot of brownie points with the fans. No pun intended there, brownie. But I think that gets a lot of brownie points with the fans, too, because they see that, okay, at the end of the day, this guy's like us. He's a fan. He wants to see the team do well. And you like to see when your coach gets fired up every once in a while when he never really does,
I think that just attributes to him being I think he's finally fully 100% comfortable in the role as a head coach and with the staff around him, and he's able to obviously he's always laid back, but kind of relax a bit and let his natural emotions just come out a little bit more, and you can really see it on the field. On the sideline and just with how this team plays, even through all this adversity and the wild shit we've went through this year, injuries being the top point of them, and they're still playing together, they're playing for each other, and we beat the 49ers with PJ Walker, we beat the Steelers with DTR,
somehow
we beat the Jags.
That's crazy to think about. Like, how the hell do we beat the Niners with fucking PJ Walker back there?
Because this is a well-coached football team, and you haven't been able to say that about a Cleveland Browns team consistently since like the early 90s. So I'm pretty happy in this moment in time.
Me too, man. Shit, if I was the Haslams, I'd have a 5-year extension on his desk when he rolls into the office tomorrow morning.
I'd give him the team. Just let him have it.
Hey, shit, we'd probably be better off for that, but who knows? Did you know, speaking of, I don't know why I'm getting off topic here, but apparently the Haslams own the Columbus Crew, too, which just won an MLS Cup for the second time yesterday.
Yeah, because they were rumored to.
So shit, they know about soccer, just not about football, I guess.
Yeah, well, they were rumored to be leaving Columbus and they were going to move somewhere else, and the Haslams bought them with the number one intention of keeping them in Columbus. And they've won two MLS Cups, so good on the Haslams there, I guess. But I still don't fucking like them. But
yeah, let's do that in football, buddy. If we win 2 Super Bowls, I will be very fucking happy.
If we win 2 Super Bowls, I might.
Shit, if we win one, they could take the team back. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, geez, fucking, I don't know what I'd do. I'd probably cry like a little girl. But yeah,
hey, we got a chance, man. I mean, the formula we're winning with now, like Flacco's had 600 yards basically in 2 games. I mean, when's the last time we had a 300-yard performance? Watson almost had one in the Titans game. He was about 11 yards shy, I think. But
Jacoby Brissett against the Bills last
game
year.
This season. Yes, so it's been a year and a half since we've even had one of those. And he had 311 today, and it easily could have been closer to 400. And last week he had 255. So those are no numbers to bat eyes at.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we're very happy-go-lucky, and we're going to remain that way, but I guess we do got to skim through our negatives as we have to. So let's point out the 3 negatives we had.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah, there is. And I'll open up with this, and I think we're going to have the same negative here. The fucking officiating was horrid this game.
Yeah. Probably the worst so far this year. Besides maybe the first Steelers game, but then again, the Steelers games are always terribly officiated whenever we play them.
Yeah, fuck that game. I'm talking about this game. I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel.
I'm gonna have to insert. Maybe I'll insert Myles Garrett's clip of his thoughts on the officiating. But good God, calling holding calls that weren't there, pass interference or missing pass interference call that was clearly there
for us, and then giving it to them.
Yeah, Myles Garrett getting fucking assaulted every time the ball is snapped, and it's never called. It's just really frustrating.
The most egregious one, I think, was at the very end when there was clearly no PI, and it felt like the refs almost just wanted to get them back into the game to have another close game on the slate for this week, because not even close to a pass interference, and it gave them 30 yards, which gifted them the touchdown at the end of the game.
Yeah, and then the holding call on us towards the end of the game that was like so ticky-tacky, where Myles Garrett, like I said, is getting fucking... He might as well have a serial killer trying to murder him every play, because that's pretty much what it is whenever the ball snapped. So, yeah, the officiating just sucked, and I try not to be the fan that blames the officiating on anything, because it's a fucking trivial problem and every team does it. But it's
not just us too. Patrick Mahomes was pretty livid after his game as well.
Yeah, but it just wasn't good.
It seems like they're just calling shit too at times where it just doesn't feel right to call it. I think Mahomes said in his game, he's like, I've been playing this at a high level for 7 years now, and he's like, I don't think I've ever once been in a game where an offensive, I think they called Tony for like, what was it? Like, what is it called when you step on the line before you like?
He was offsides. He was offsides on offense.
Offsides. Okay, like they said, he phrased it weird though. He said they called something weird, and he's like, I've never had that call once in my life. He's like, I couldn't tell you the last time that's happened to me in the 7 years I've been playing this at a high level.
Here's the problem. I'm gonna throw a solution out here to these fucking referee bozos, and honestly, I don't even blame them most of the time because they're humans.
Fucking jabronis.
Yeah, the fucking jabronis. I think it's the rule book. The rules are too goddamn complicated. There's too many fucking reasons for this and iterations for that. This is a catch. This is not. This is this penalty. Yeah. This is not. It's
too much bullshit too. Like the illegal formation. I tweeted that during the game. I'm like, who gives a rip? Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, that's a 10-yard fucking penalty that ruins drives for something nobody gives a fuck about. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting at home and you're like, why is this even a fucking rule? Like, just get rid of it.
Yeah, it's like they just need to go back through the rule book and sit down and rewrite it and just simplify everything to make it a lot easier for the referees to be able to make calls on certain things and make it easier on them, make it easier for the players to understand. And they need to make fucking penalties reviewable especially when especially if it's a penalty that's called that could change the course of a game. Like the helmet-to-helmet hit on Rashad Higgins that let the ball go out
in the
the back
Kansas
of the
City
end zone.
playoff game.
Yeah, like the catch.
Or, I mean, hell, the Saints game, like where the PI the Rams was obvious, but no call in it.
Where they fucking speared the wide receiver and they didn't call it. They need to be held accountable for the shitty rules and the shitty calls. They need to simplify this shit because it's so dumb. Because it's just dumb. That's it. It's dumb. It's stupid.
Yeah. And if they are going to keep some of these in place, which I'm like not completely opposed to, like I think they need to rethink and rewrite some of the yardage for some of them, because I'm like, the way holding gets called, like on our ticky-tack holding call, like I said, that's another 10-yard penalty. It literally kills the drive. Like you're in 3rd and 20 all of a sudden after you were just 2nd and 5, and like it ruins the whole freaking drive. So maybe like shorten some of these penalties from 10 to 5 yards. Just something. They need to find out some kind of remedy for what they're doing out there, because in 2023, half of us watching the game don't even know what is and what is not a catch anymore.
Yeah, the last example I'll give before I'll move on is I watched a couple games with my grandparents this year. My grandparents have been Browns fans since like the 70s, and they've watched every game since Brian Sipe was playing quarterback. And it feels like every week I watch the game with them, a penalty will be called, and be like, what the fuck is that rule? I've been watching this for 40 years. I've never heard of that shit. And I'm like, I don't know, Papa. I don't know what the fuck it is either.
I thought that ended with Jerome Bogert retiring this year, but it hasn't. It hasn't, let me tell you.
Yeah, it ain't good. But
for those of you who don't know who it is, he's probably the worst referee I've ever seen. Jerome Bogert. He was around for about 20 years, and this guy, he was literally out there last season, I remember, and a couple seasons ago when Lamar threw 4 interceptions and still beat us. This guy called like 2 or 3 things in that game that I had never heard in my life. And he was just fumbling over his words. It felt like he was making up damn penalties as the game went on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna finish my point. I'm not gonna bitch about it anymore because we won at the end of the day. But officiating sucked. End of story. I'm done.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw out a little fun stat here. I'm not sure if you saw this, but Joe Flacco is the first Browns QB with 3 touchdown TDs and on passes of 30-plus yards in a single game since Brian Sipe. Since you mentioned that in 1980.
Holy crap! That's a.
It's insane.
Yeah, that's kind of sad to think about, but hey, it's sweet that we broke that. But were we sharing the same point there with the refs? Can I move on to number 2?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I kind of threw in my point there as well because I had the same first negative as you. Just the officiating was absolutely horrible. So by all means, take it away with your number 2.
All right, my second negative, the fucking tackles were horrible, especially James Hudson. We've been pretty happy with Christian when he's played, but this week he was not very good. He wasn't as bad as Hudson, but we really need DeJuan Jones back. We really need to get Jed Wills back. As much as we talk crap about Jed Wills, it's really showing that even an average left tackle is worlds better than the shit we're getting right now. As we're talking about penalties here, but both of them were called for false starts, holding, and they missed blocks here and there.
Hudson had damn near half a dozen. I lost count at one point because he had fucking like 3 within a 5-minute period.
Yeah, I think we're better off throwing that old fuck who's our own O-line coach out there at right tackle.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know. I didn't have too much to say about that one, but the tackle sucked. It was not good. I like you said, I'm shocked we only got 1 sack given up. But I think that's just because the rest of the line is awesome. But, yeah, it was butt.
Yeah, they are pretty piss poor. I can live with Christian, like you said, even though he wasn't. This is probably his worst game as a Brown so far was today. But fucking James Hudson, man, this guy. I think I tweeted live during the game, shoot this motherfucker straight into the sun because I've seen enough.
I thought you were going to say shoot him in the head. That would have.
Jesus, no, I'm not that brutal.
Well, I mean, shooting him in the sun is probably worse.
A way better. Yeah, I was going to say shooting you in the head's more humane way to go, I think, now that I think about it, instead of burning alive.
Yeah, so
burning to a crisp in the sun.
So I guess you are the cool
I will get to my second negative. Let's stop talking about killing James Hudson. Yeah, but I'm not going to kill this man, okay?
All right, you go, buddy.
But my second negative, I just had careless with the football. I mean, the Amari Cooper turnover, he's had a couple, like, not bad turnovers this year, but the fumble just kind of came out of nowhere. He made a good cut, juked a dude out of his shoes, and then fumbled the ball and gave them 7 points, gift wrapped pretty much. And Joe Flacco got blasted on the play. Like, those are plays where, like, you can't let that happen. Hold on to the ball, preach ball security, Flacco especially. Like, I understand you got lit up on that play, but we were just careless with the football. And it was a good game for us to come out and have 3 interceptions, because if we didn't, we would have lost this game.
Yeah, definitely. Still, the turnover problems are occurring. Like you said on the Cooper one, I think he was switching hands. Yeah, I think he was switching hands on that run, and just as he switched to his right hand, the ball was exposed and it just got popped right out. And like you said, Flacco got hit on his...
Tough to do that because these guys are so fast, you know? Like, you got to assume at any time you're about to get hit from any which way, even though you can't necessarily see it.
Yeah, and then obviously the Joe Flacco fumble when he got hit on the sack, and then the interception he threw. So
Whoa,
he just...
Who punched him in the sack?
Well, hey, I wasn't going that far, buddy.
I'm kidding.
But yeah,
hey, Miles got nut tapped a few times there.
Yeah, apparently, because he wasn't happy after the game. But yeah, turnovers are still a bit of an issue. So that's like the one thing in terms of sloppiness I'd say we still need to clean up is the turnovers, because we won the turnover battle this week, but still committed some turnovers. So gotta clean that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, we do, my friend.
Yes, and now I'll move into my third and final negative here. And so, I lost my train of thought there.
There's a couple ways you could go with this, because I'm like, I thought you were going to say tackles, so I didn't put that on there purposefully, but like now that I'm thinking about it, there's even like a couple things you could put on there to be a good third and final negative, I think.
Yeah, so my original negative was just the stupid mistakes, but you kind of put that in there, so I'm going to do a little switcheroo. And I'm actually just going to go with the injuries, because yet again...
That's what I was thinking.
Yet again, we had, like... Let me think. Pochich went down. Obo went down a couple times. Delpit went down.
Both safeties.
Both our safeties went down. So, like, Jesus.
Like Hickman and Bell rolling out there.
Yeah, so... I don't know if the football gods are just playing with us and are like, hey, the 1 year you're good, let's injure everyone. But it ain't good, buddy. I hope we can finish off this season.
This has been the most injury riddled I've ever seen a team be, like, with key players. Like, I've seen a lot of, like, the Ravens have had a lot of injuries in the last 2 seasons, but as far as key players go, man, like, it seems like if it was bums going down, it still sucks and you feel bad for the guy, but it's like, it's Miles is dinged up, Zadarius went down, freaking both safeties. Juan tweaked, I think, what did he tweak, his groin before the game and missed the entire game. Delpit got blasted by our own guy. Miles ran into him on accident, and he was out for the whole game.
Yeah, Dewan tweaked his knee in practice.
And it's just key players. I've never seen so many key players go down for one team ever, especially, let alone a Browns team. I've never seen this many injuries. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's funny. I've said it a couple times. It's like, why? Not that
Ward didn't play again. We thought he was going to be back, you know?
Yeah, literally. And not that I like want someone injured or something, but like, couldn't this have fucking happened when we were 1-15 or 3-13?
Sendejo or something?
Yeah.
What happened to Alex Sendejo?
Yeah, oh God. I don't want to think about that.
I'm kidding.
But, yeah.
We don't wish injury on him, even though he was ass.
I'm kind of hoping that they're just taking all our injuries that were going to happen next year and just fitting those into this year too, so that we can be 100% healthy all year next year and go 17-0 and win the Super Bowl. But I don't know. Just just too injuries are still a problem. Not that that's something the team can necessarily fix because it ain't their fault, but it's just a sucky thing to see, and we see it every damn week. So that's pretty much it for me in terms of negatives. I don't know what you had.
And there was a good chance coming into this game too that Njoku didn't even play, and thank God he did, because man had 2 touchdowns and 91 yards.
Yeah, he was our best player on offense, and so thank God he didn't miss the game. He played with fucking flesh burns on his face.
Yeah, that was wild, man. I remember reading that, like when that happened week 3, I think it was, right against the Titan. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, there's no way. And then you see the photo of his face, and you're like, oh man, like this is actually terrible. He burned like 70% of his body or something, they were saying.
Yeah, it was pretty scary, but yeah, overall, to finish off my point here, I don't know what you had for your last negative, but yeah, the injuries are a problem, and I hope we can stay healthy and not have this shit happen in the final stretch of the season and going into the playoffs, hopefully. So, yes, it ain't good.
I agree. And I will get into my third and final negative. I just had the run game once again was absolute ass. Jerome Ford had 12 carries for 51 yards, which the average isn't bad, a little over 4 yards a carry, but 29 of those yards came on one single carry. So once again, he had one decent carry and the rest were for absolutely no yardage. Kareem Hunt, man, I'm starting to get worried about him. I mean, 10 carries for 27 yards, 2.7 a carry. Did have the one touchdown in the Wildcat package, which was nice there. But we can't get anything going in the run game. And I always use the Chiefs kind of comparison that I don't think we have to have a crazy good run game to win games in the playoffs, but we can't seem to get anything going on the ground right now. And I think as you start to play teams, if we do end up making it in the playoffs, once you play teams that have a better offense and a better defense, you're going to have to be able to put up those points. And if you can't have a run game to lean on, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't very good. Kareem Hunt, I think, is just showing his age and his wear and tear. So at this point, you can only use him in spots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
if it's a 1 or 2 yards we need, I love him. Or if it's on goal line, I love him. But any more than a yard or two, I think you can't put him out there.
Yeah, 1st and 10, 2nd and long. He just doesn't have the burst. Really
4th and 1 like we had today.
Yeah. So Pierre Strong needs more carries. Just we say it all the time, but yeah, we gotta.
Yeah, get it. Like, I don't know. Do they have something against him, or like they just don't use him at all?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know he's the returner, and like we'll get like a carry or two every game, but yeah, I'd like to see him a little more. Just even if he turns out to be,
he got one touch for 0 yards today.
Yeah, I'd at least like to see. So I definitely agree. The run game's got to be at least a little bit better if we want to keep winning.
Yeah, I agree with you. And if we can even just, like, if we have the production from even a Ford that we had against the Broncos where he only had 9 carries but he had like 70 yards, like something like that's even doable, because the more we throw the ball like this, like Stefanski is really opening up the playbook going downfield, even though I don't think I saw Goodwin at all today. So, but the fact that we're passing so much, 45 pass attempts for Flacco, he was above 40 last week as well. So if we can just get some semblance of a running game going, I'd feel a lot better. But fucking man, this would be a nice time to have Nick Chubb.
Yeah, you're damn right, buddy. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that.
If we had Chubb, buddy, this is probably a 17-point win if we have Nick Chubb today.
If we have Nick Chubb, I think we have like 12 wins right now. But
yeah, shit. If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all be dyslexic.
Yeah, ain't that the truth, buddy? But you got anything else you want to finalize with before I get us on out of here, since we finished off our negatives there, and so we can ride off into the sunset with a good win today?
No, I don't think so. I think we touched on all the negatives that we could have. Definitely room for improvement. Take care of the ball a little more moving forward. Maybe mix in some Pierre Strong. We've been saying it for like damn near the entire season now, but maybe we'll see him hopefully a little bit more in the future. 8-5 though is huge. I mean, the fact that the Texans lost, I saw Stroud got a little dinged up. He's in concussion protocol, so we got them coming up in a few weeks. The Bills beat the Chiefs, which is interesting as well, because the Chiefs are now the same record as us, 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
Another team behind us, the Colts lost as well, so they're 7-6 now. So, and with the 2 Pittsburgh losses over the last 2 weeks, we're sitting in the driver's seat. We had to win pretty much to stay in a hold of that number 1 playoff spot, or the number 1 wild card spot, excuse me. So keep winning, and if we can hit 10 wins, I'll feel confident, but I think I would aim for 11. I mean, if you can get 11, you give yourself a chance to maybe even, depending on what Baltimore does, get a crack at that division title.
Yeah, definitely, and that's how I was going to end off this episode as well. Great win in what we were looking at as a must-win game, and we had pretty much everyone lose that we needed to, aside from Baltimore, obviously winning in overtime. But still, either way, they're 2 games ahead of us.
Yeah, that hurts.
We control our own destiny. We're a game ahead of everybody in the wild card race. So we're 8-5, and we got a game against the Bears next week that is extremely winnable. So hopefully we can go in there and play well, and there's a real shot at 11-6. And hey, if we can play Houston well, we could go 12-5 if I'm being honest. So it'd be nice to see.
We got to get something going on the road too. That's another thing I wanted to mention, because our road performances have not been up to snuff.
Yeah, so we're gonna that's one thing we're gonna see moving forward. But once again, overall big win, and we're happy to be 8-5 with, like I said, we're in the driver's seat. We control our own destiny. So we appreciate you guys for listening to another episode here as we talk about our Brownies. And yeah, it's been another episode of Cold Takes from the Land, and we will see you in the next one.
Cold Takes from the Land.